Welcome back to Learn English with Stories 365. Today, I'm not just telling you a story. I'm showing you what's possible. Because this is not just a story about Jack Ma. It's a story about rejection. It's a story about failure. It's a story about being told you're not good enough, again and again. And it's a story about rising anyway, getting back up, trying again, and turning pain into power. You see, Jack Ma wasn't born rich. He wasn't strong. He wasn't tall or smart or special. He didn't go to a famous school. He failed. Over and over. He was rejected from 30 jobs. Even KFC didn't want him. Harvard rejected him 10 times. People laughed at his dreams. But he had something they didn't see. A heart that refused to quit. A fire that no one could put out. And maybe you have that too. Maybe you're not the smartest in the room. Maybe you've failed more than once. Maybe people told you, you can't. But deep inside, you still believe that one day, somehow, you will. If that's you, then this story is yours. Because the truth is, Jack Ma didn't build Alibaba alone. He built it with hope, with people, with passion, and a little bit of crazy. So today, open your mind, open your heart, and listen closely. Because you're not just learning English, you're learning how to dream again. And you're about to find out what happens when a simple person chooses to never give up. Let's begin. Part 1. Childhood. Ma Yun. A small boy with big. Jack Ma was not born with power. He was not born with money. He was born with questions. His real name was Ma Yun, and he came into the world on September 10th, 1964, in a small part of Hangzhou, China. Back then, Hangzhou wasn't full of tech companies or tall buildings. It was quiet, simple. His family lived in a narrow house with thin walls, no TV, no car, no modern comforts. But in that little house lived a boy who couldn't stop wondering, what's out there? What's possible? His parents weren't famous or rich. His father was a musician and storyteller who performed traditional art. His mother stayed home to care for Jack and his siblings. They worked hard, but they didn't earn much. Still, the house was full of something special, stories, and maybe that's where it all started. Jack listened to stories, then started dreaming his own. As a child, Jack wasn't tall. He wasn't strong. In fact, he was often bullied. He got into fights. He lost most of them. But even when he fell down, he got back up. He was stubborn. And more than that, he was curious. He asked questions, so many questions that even adults got tired of answering them. But Jack wasn't trying to be annoying. He was trying to understand life. At school, he didn't do well, especially not in math. Numbers felt like enemies to him. But words, stories, languages, that was different. One day, he heard someone speak English, and something changed. He didn't know what they were saying, but it sounded like magic. And from that moment, he decided He wanted to learn English, no matter what. In a country where most people never met a foreigner, never left their city, and never thought about the outside world, Jack Ma was already different. He didn't want to be just another boy from Hangzhou. He wanted to see the world, speak with it, connect to it. But there was one big problem. He had no way to learn English. No internet, no apps, no foreign teachers. Just a big dream and a small boy with a heart full of questions. Part 2. Learning English. 5 a.m. A bike and 9 years of practice. Jack Ma didn't learn English in a classroom. He learned it in the real world, one word at a time, with a bicycle and a dream. When he was around 12 years old, he discovered something interesting. Foreign tourists were staying at a hotel not far from his home. They came from countries he had only seen in books, speaking a language he barely understood. But Jack saw an opportunity, and more importantly, he saw a teacher in every stranger. So, every morning, while other kids were still asleep, Jack woke up at 5 o'clock. He got on his old bicycle and rode to the Hangzhou Hotel. He waited outside, standing in the cold, in the rain, in the dark, just to talk to people he didn't know. He would walk up to tourists with a big smile and say, "Hi, can I practice English with you?" Some ignored him. Some were confused. But many said yes, and those conversations became his classroom. He didn't charge money. He didn't want gifts. He wanted connection. He offered to be their tour guide, free of charge, just so he could listen and learn. He asked simple questions. "What does this mean?" "How do you say that?" And then he would repeat their answers over and over in his mind, until the words felt natural. Sometimes he made mistakes. Sometimes they laughed. But Jack didn't care. He knew that mistakes were part of the process. He did this not for a week, not for a month, but for 9 years. 9 years of mornings, 9 years of conversations, 9 years of free guiding, just to learn. That kind of patience doesn't come from a textbook. That comes from hunger, a hunger to grow, to know, to connect with the world. One day, he met a tourist from Australia who became more than just a visitor. They became friends. This man and his family visited Jack often, and even invited him to Australia. They gave him a name that was easier for them to say, Jack. And just like that, Ma Yun became Jack Ma. Not just a name change, but a new identity. A bridge between two worlds. While most children were memorizing answers for school, Jack was out in the real world, speaking, failing, listening, and trying again. While most people were afraid to talk to strangers, Jack was building friendships. While most people waited for the right teacher, Jack became his own. This chapter of his life teaches us one thing. Learning is not about money, or perfect grammar, or sitting in a classroom. It's about action. It's about being brave enough to speak, even when you're not ready. It's about waking up early, riding your bike, and doing what others won't do, because you know, deep down, it matters. Jack Ma didn't just learn English. He learned how to connect. And that, more than anything, shaped the man he would become. Part 3. Failing School. Again and again and again. Jack Ma wasn't a top student. In fact, he was one of the worst. School, for Jack, wasn't a place of success. It was a place of failure, and he got very used to it. He failed the middle school entrance exam twice. Then he failed the high school entrance exam 3 times. By the time he was finally accepted, he had already learned one important lesson. Failure doesn't kill you. It teaches you. Most of his classmates were good at math. Jack hated math. Numbers didn't like him, and, to be honest, the feeling was mutual. While others solved equations, Jack stared at the board like it was a foreign language. His scores were low. His teachers were frustrated. Some told him he would never be successful. That's not exactly motivational. But Jack didn't need motivation from others. He was already building something stronger. Resilience. After high school, he tried to get into university. In China, this means taking a test that decides your future. Jack failed it. Once, then again. But on the 3rd try, he passed. Not with flying colors, but enough to enter Hangzhou Teachers Institute. A small college, not famous, not elite. But to Jack, it was a new beginning. There, he studied English. Not because it was easy, but because it was meaningful to him. He was never the best student in class. He didn't win awards, but he worked hard, helped others, and began to enjoy standing in front of people and speaking. Slowly, confidence began to grow, not from success, but from surviving failure. You see, in school, Jack wasn't the kid with the best scores, but he was the one who refused to stop showing up. And that, it turns out, is much more useful in real life. Part 4. 30 Job Rejections. Even KFC said no. After college, Jack Ma felt hopeful. He had a degree. He spoke English. He believed the hard part was over. Now it was time to find a job and start his life. But life had other plans. And those plans started with one word. No. Jack applied for job after job, and rejection followed him like a shadow. He applied to hotels. They said no. He applied to work as a waiter. Still no. He applied to be a police officer. They said he wasn't strong enough. One even told him, "You're too thin. You don't look right for the job." Imagine that, rejected by appearance alone. And then came the now famous KFC story. A new KFC had opened in Hangzhou. Jack and 23 other people applied. 23 were hired. One was not. Yes, Jack was the only person who didn't get the job. Even fried chicken didn't want him. Years later, he laughed and said, "Maybe I wasn't fast enough at making chicken." He didn't stop there. He applied to Harvard, 10 times, 10 applications, 10 rejections, no interview, no second chance. Just a straight, clean no every single time. Most people would feel broken. Most people would give up. But Jack wasn't most people. He said, "I was never afraid of rejection. I was only afraid of not trying." And that's what makes him different. Not talent, not luck. Just the simple, stubborn courage to keep showing up, even when the door keeps slamming shut. You see, rejection didn't destroy Jack Ma. It built him. Every no was a brick, and brick by brick, he was building something, even if he didn't know what it was yet. He was learning how to hear no without believing it. Learning how to fall without staying down. Learning that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. If you've ever been rejected by a school, a job, a person, you're not alone. Jack Ma has been there too, but the difference is he turned rejection into fuel, into motivation, into proof that he was meant for something different. And when he finally found his yes, it was going to be worth all the no's. Part 5. First glimpse of the Internet and a shock. In 1995, Jack Ma visited the United States for the first time. He wasn't there for business. He was there as a translator, helping a Chinese company with a small project. But what he discovered on that trip was far bigger than any business deal. He discovered the Internet. It was the first time Jack had ever touched a computer. He didn't know how to use a mouse. He didn't even know what a browser was. But the moment he went online, his world changed forever. He typed one word into the search bar. Beer. Pages of results appeared. American beer, German beer, Japanese beer. But there was nothing from China. Nothing. So he tried another word. China. Again, the results were almost empty. No Chinese companies. No Chinese products. It was like China didn't exist online. That moment hit him like lightning, and in his heart, a single question formed. Why isn't China on the Internet? It wasn't just curiosity. It was a call to action. Jack realized that the Internet was going to be the future of everything. Business, communication, learning, and China was missing from it. That wasn't just a gap. That was an opportunity. A big one. Jack didn't know how to build websites. He didn't have a tech background. He wasn't a coder or a software guy. But he didn't care. He didn't need to know the how just yet. He had the why. And that was enough. He went back to China with a mission. Not to get rich, not to become famous, but to put his country, his people, on the map. Digitally. This wasn't just the moment he discovered the Internet. It was the moment he discovered his purpose. Part 6. China Pages. His first company. His first failure. When Jack Ma returned to China, he couldn't stop thinking about what he saw in America. The internet wasn't just a cool new tool. It was the future, and he was determined to bring that future home. He borrowed $2,000 from friends and family. That was a lot of money at the time, especially for someone with no business experience, no tech skills, and no backup plan. But Jack wasn't thinking about the risk. He was thinking about the mission. He wanted to help Chinese businesses go online. He wanted to connect China with the rest of the world. He named his first company China Pages. The idea was simple: help local companies build websites so that foreign buyers could find them. Jack believed that even the smallest factory in Hangzhou could sell to the world, if people could just find them online. But there was a problem. Actually, several. First, most people in China didn't even know what the internet was. Second, they didn't trust it. They didn't understand why they needed a website when they already had a shop. And third, Jack wasn't a web developer. He had to rely on others to build the technology. Still, he pushed forward. He visited local companies, explained the internet, drew diagrams, gave speeches, anything to help them believe. Some people laughed. Others thought he was crazy. But a few said yes. And for a short time, it worked. China Pages got attention. It even partnered with a government agency. But things didn't go the way Jack hoped. There were disagreements. The project lost focus. The support faded. And before long, China Pages failed. It was Jack Ma's first real business, and it didn't survive. But instead of feeling ashamed, Jack felt proud. He said, "I learned more from China Pages than from anything else." He didn't make money, but he made progress. He saw how business worked. He saw what people feared. And most of all, he saw that his dream was still alive. Jack Ma failed, publicly, clearly, completely. But instead of walking away, he looked at the pieces and started thinking about what to build next. Part 7. Founding Alibaba. 18 friends. 1 apartment. 0 money. After the failure of China Pages, Jack Ma could have stopped. He could have said, "I tried," and gone back to teaching. But that's not Jack. Failure didn't scare him. In fact, it energized him. Because in his heart, he still believed in one thing. The internet was the future, and he wanted to be part of it. In 1999, Jack made a bold decision. He invited 17 of his friends and students to his apartment in Hangzhou. There was no office, no whiteboards, just a small room, a few chairs, and a dream that sounded crazy. Jack stood in front of them and said, "I want to build a global company. I want to help small businesses in China sell to the world. I want to call it Alibaba." People smiled. Some laughed. One friend raised a hand and asked, "Why Alibaba?" Jack replied, "Because everyone knows the story of Open Sesame. It's simple, it's magical, and it opens doors. That's what we'll do. We'll open doors for small businesses." And just like that, with no money, no power, no connections, they started. They had old computers, slow internet, and no salaries. But they had something more valuable: belief. They worked side by side, slept on the floor, shared cheap meals, and dreamed big dreams. Jack told them, "Even if we only have one bowl of rice, we'll share it. Half for you, half for me." This wasn't a startup. This was a family. Their mission was simple: make it easy to do business anywhere. Jack believed that the internet shouldn't be for big companies only. It should be for the little guy, the local shop, the family factory, the person with one product and one big dream. They built a platform to connect sellers in China with buyers around the world. No one thought it would work. People said, "How can a bunch of teachers and students build a tech company?" Jack just smiled and kept going, because Jack knew something most people didn't. You don't need to be a genius to change the world. You just need to care more than everyone else. At first, they had no traffic, no users, no money. Jack went to internet cafes to explain Alibaba to strangers. He gave speeches to anyone who would listen. He emailed people around the world, one by one. He said, "Give us a chance. We're small, but we're honest. We work hard." Slowly, people started to believe him. It wasn't easy. Banks refused to give them loans. Investors said no. Some days felt impossible. But Jack kept the team together. He said, "We're not competing with others. We're competing with ourselves to become better than we were yesterday." And somehow, that was enough. Bit by bit, Alibaba began to grow. They weren't just building a company. They were building a revolution. From a tiny apartment in China, they were connecting the world, one small business at a time. Jack once said, "I'm not afraid of big companies. I'm afraid of not improving." That spirit, that fire, is what carried them forward. Alibaba didn't start with success. It started with purpose, with people, with passion. And it started with Jack Ma, a man who had nothing to offer the world except everything he had inside. Part 8. Early Days of Alibaba: Rejection, Hope, and Rice. In the early days of Alibaba, hope was their only currency. The company was growing, but not fast. They had a dream, a website, and a team that believed, but no money, no office, and no support from banks. Jack Ma went to more than 10 banks in China, asking for a loan. Every single one said no. "Too risky," they said. "Too new. You're not a tech guy. How will you run an internet company?" Rejection wasn't new to Jack, but it still hurt. Even so, he smiled, said thank you, and kept moving. Alibaba had zero revenue. They were working day and night, living in shared apartments, surviving on instant noodles. And yet, the energy inside that team was electric. Jack often reminded them, "We are not here to get rich fast. We are here to do something meaningful." He told them, "If we only have one bowl of rice, we'll share it. half for you, half for me. That wasn't just a nice quote. That was real. That was how they lived. Everyone gave their time, their sweat, and their hearts, because they believed in something bigger than a paycheck. Then, something unexpected happened. A Japanese investor named Masayoshi Son heard about Alibaba. He flew to China and met Jack Ma. They talked for just 5 minutes. No detailed financial report. No long business pitch. Just Jack, talking about his dream. Masayoshi's son looked at him and said, "I like this guy." He invested $20 million. It was a miracle. But it didn't change Jack. He didn't go buy a new car or move into a big house. He kept living simply. He told his team, "We have money now, but we must stay hungry. We're still fighting." And the fight was far from over. Bigger battles were waiting. But now, Alibaba had a real shot. A chance to build something lasting. Something global. In those early days, Jack proved something important. Success doesn't start with money. It starts with trust. It starts with people who are willing to eat from the same bowl of rice and still smile at each other. Part 9. Culture over Strategy. The Alibaba Family. At Alibaba, strategy wasn't the secret weapon. Culture was. While most companies were busy creating rules and titles, Jack Ma was building something else. A family. From the very beginning, he understood one simple truth. Happy people build better companies. Jack gave everyone in the company a nickname. Not a job title. A nickname. Some were from kung fu movies. Others from Chinese novels. It wasn't about being professional. It was about being playful, connected, human. Employees danced together every morning. They sang karaoke at night. They laughed, cried, and celebrated even the smallest wins. And in the middle of it all was Jack, smiling, cheering, dancing with them. He believed that if people feel safe, they take risks. If they feel loved, they work harder. He said, "Don't be the boss. Be the believer." He didn't just want workers. He wanted believers, people who truly cared about the mission. When new employees joined Alibaba, they didn't enter a company. They joined a tribe. It was loud. It was messy. But it was full of energy. Jack didn't hire based on experience. He hired based on heart. He asked, "Do you believe in what we're doing? Are you ready to grow?" This culture became the soul of Alibaba. It wasn't written on the walls. It was lived every day. During tough times, people stayed. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They were fighting for each other. In business, many say culture is important. Jack didn't say it. He built it. And that's why, even when Alibaba had no money, no power, no clear path, they still had something that most companies never have. A team that would go to war for each other and laugh all the way through it. Part 10. The War with eBay. Crocodile versus Shark. By the early 2000s, Alibaba was growing. But something big was coming. A giant from the West had arrived. Its name? eBay. At the time, eBay was one of the biggest online marketplaces in the world. It had money, power, and global experience. And now, it wanted China. eBay entered the Chinese market by buying a local site called EachNet. With one move, they took control of nearly 80% of China's online shopping space. They had fancy offices, top managers, global connections. Everyone thought it was over. Alibaba was small, underfunded, and outmatched. It was a startup versus a superpower. But Jack Ma? He didn't panic. He smiled. And then he declared war. He called his team together and said, "We are launching a new platform. It will be called Taobao. In Chinese, Tao means to search, and Bao means treasure. So Taobao literally means search for treasure." But Jack didn't just build a shopping site. He built a weapon. First, he made it free. While eBay charged sellers, Taobao was completely free to use. That one decision changed everything. Small sellers who couldn't afford eBay's fees ran to Taobao. Second, Jack made it friendly. Bright colors, local language, funny animations, real customer service. Taobao didn't feel like a cold shopping site. It felt like a fun place to explore, and people loved it. Third, he added something simple but powerful: live chat. Buyers could talk to sellers directly, ask questions, bargain, build trust. eBay didn't have that. But in China, where trust is everything, this little feature became a game changer. eBay didn't understand. They thought business was about numbers. Jack knew it was about people. In one famous interview, Jack said, "eBay is a shark in the ocean, but I am a crocodile in the Yangtze River. If we fight in the ocean, I lose. But if we fight in the river, I win." And win he did. In just a few years, Taobao overtook eBay China. Users loved it. Sellers depended on it. eBay couldn't keep up. They didn't understand the culture, the customers, or the community Alibaba had built. Eventually, eBay gave up. They left China, and Taobao became the king. Jack didn't win by being bigger. He won by being smarter, faster, and more connected to the people he served. This wasn't just a business move. It was a message to the world. China had its own voice now. And it wasn't copying anyone. Jack didn't beat eBay with money. He beat them with imagination, with trust, with a deep understanding of the people no one else listened to. That's how a crocodile defeated a shark. Part 11. Global Expansion and the Biggest IPO in History. After defeating eBay in China, Jack Ma didn't stop. He looked beyond borders. His next goal? The world. Alibaba expanded into global markets with platforms like AliExpress and Alibaba.com. connecting factories in China with buyers from every corner of the planet. Sellers who once sold to a few local shops were now shipping products to Brazil, Russia, the US, and beyond. But Jack wasn't just building shopping websites. He was building an ecosystem. He launched Alipay, an online payment system to help people feel safe buying things online. He started Alibaba Cloud to support other businesses with technology. Step by step, Alibaba grew from a small Chinese startup into a global tech empire. And then came the moment that shocked the world. In 2014, Alibaba went public on the New York Stock Exchange. It was the biggest IPO in history, raising $25 billion in a single day. The company was now valued at $200 to $31 billion. For a man who had been rejected by KFC and Harvard, this was poetic justice. Jack Ma walked onto the trading floor that day not as a CEO in a fancy suit, but as a teacher with a mission. He said, "Today is not about money. Today is about trust." That moment wasn't just a win for Jack. It was a win for everyone who had ever been told they weren't good enough. And yet, even after all that success, Jack stayed grounded. He reminded people that Alibaba was not built by him alone. It was built by a team, by customers, by believers. "We made it," he said, "but we're just getting started." Part 12. The Teacher Billionaire, Jack's Second Dream. Jack Ma never wanted to be a billionaire. He wanted to be a teacher. That was his first dream. And even after building one of the biggest companies in the world, that dream never left him. In 2019, on his 55th birthday, Jack Ma stood in front of 60,000 employees in a stadium. But this time, he wasn't making a business announcement. He was saying goodbye. He was retiring. In the middle of fireworks, music, and celebration, he told the crowd, "I started as a teacher, and I'll return to education." It wasn't a sad moment. It was beautiful. Jack didn't leave Alibaba because he was tired. He left because he wanted to give back, to help teachers, to support schools, to make sure kids in rural areas had the chance to dream big, just like he once did. He started the Jack Ma Foundation, focusing on education, the environment, and public health. But mostly, he focused on people, especially those often forgotten. He visited small villages. He sat with teachers. He listened to their stories, and he reminded them, "You are the real heroes." While other billionaires were building rockets and buying islands, Jack was building classrooms and supporting young minds. He said, "We can't let technology grow faster than our hearts. Education must catch up." To him, being rich didn't mean much if you couldn't help someone else grow. And being powerful meant nothing if you didn't use that power to lift others up. So Jack, the billionaire, returned to what he loved most: teaching. Not in a classroom, maybe, but in the world. In speeches. In stories. In quiet conversations that don't make headlines, but change lives. Because at the end of the day, Jack Ma didn't just build a company, he built people. And he never forgot where it all began. Part 13. Mystery, Disappearance, and Legend. In late 2020, something strange happened. Jack Ma, one of the most visible figures in China, a man who had once given interviews, speeches, and stood on global stages, suddenly disappeared. No public events, no social media, no press, just silence. It started after he gave a speech. In that speech, he openly criticized China's financial system. He said it was outdated, that it needed bold reform. The words were strong, maybe too strong. Days later, his company's big IPO, Ant Group, was cancelled. It was supposed to be the largest in the world, but instead, everything paused. Then Jack disappeared from public view. For weeks, then months. Rumors flew. Has he been arrested? Is he hiding? Was he silenced? No one knew for sure. And Jack, he said nothing. When he finally reappeared, it wasn't on a stage in New York or a tech summit in Beijing. It was in a small video, visiting a rural school, smiling with children, talking about agriculture and education. He didn't speak of business. He didn't mention the internet. He spoke softly, humbly, as if he no longer wanted to be Jack Ma the billionaire. Just Jack, the teacher again. Some say he was warned. Others say he chose to step away. But maybe, just maybe, Jack Ma knew that the most powerful stories don't end with applause. They end with purpose. He once said, "Before I'm 70, I want to teach again. I want to die on the beach, not in my office." Maybe this was his way of saying, "I've done enough. Now it's time for something else." And so, Jack Ma became something more than a businessman. He became a legend, a symbol, not just of success, but of transformation, from rejection to riches, from teacher to titan, from titan back to teacher. Part 14. Closing. This is not the end. So, what do we take from all of this? Jack Ma didn't come from money. He didn't have perfect grades. He wasn't chosen. He was rejected, laughed at, misunderstood. 30 job rejections, 10 Harvard rejections, a failed business, 1,000 no's. And yet, somehow, he still believed. Not in luck, not in magic, but in effort, in learning, in people. He once said, "Today is hard. Tomorrow will be worse. But the day after tomorrow will be beautiful." Most people give up before the beautiful day comes. But not Jack. And now, maybe not you either. Because this wasn't just a story about Jack Ma. It was a story about you. About your fears, your dreams, your failures, and what you choose to do next. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the smartest. You just need one thing: a heart that refuses to quit. So if you're still trying, still learning, Still waking up with that fire in your chest? Then you're already halfway there. The world may not see it yet, but one day they will. And when they ask how you did it, you'll smile and say, "I just didn't stop." Now, if this story touched you, please give this video a like. It helps more than you know. Leave a comment below and tell us, what did you learn from Jack Ma's story? Or simply write, "I will never give up." And if you love learning English through real, powerful stories, don't forget to subscribe to Learn English with Stories 365. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep learning, keep believing, and never stop becoming who you're meant to be.